I got to play the final Season 3 early by participating in the preview event earlier today, and here is everything new plus some huge changes to the game that I found after I started researching and actually testing things out. A quick disclaimer, not every balance change is set in stone, and some will not make it to the live version of the game this first day, but the general vibe and most of the changes should remain the same. Let's start with the obvious, plus some additional details, and then we're gonna go through the changes that you probably won't hear about until patch notes drop, and maybe not even in the patch notes on first day. Before we go into the changes though, I'm so glad that I spotted this during the last trailer. Basically, there was like 1 to 3 frames where an enemy got winched, where you could see a weird shape on somebody's shoulder. I identified it as the shoulder dog, and turns out I was right, because it was added this season. There's obviously a whole new battle pass, and I normally focus on gameplay in my videos, so I don't want to dive too hard into the skins or anything like that, but they did add a cel-shaded anime girl skin in the battle pass, which looks interesting. You can also put your own skins on it seems. It's just like a different face. As for serious changes, we have the new map Kyoto. It is absolutely massive and is absolutely beautiful. But oh man, does it flow weird. There's a lot of verticality and side paths, and people keep finding new angles to peek you from, and when compared to Sis Horizon, Kyoto is a lot more complicated, and I would imagine learning and mastering it will take quite a bit longer. That being said, it's gonna be worth it. As for modifiers, we saw suspended structures and moving platforms, which will actually take you across the entire map, but there are probably more modifiers we didn't get lucky enough to try out just yet. The new season features 3 new weapons, that being the recurve bow, the spear, and of course dual katanas. The recurve bow has infinite ammo and lets you spam arrows as much as you would like. It fires projectiles in a curve, and the longer you hold back the drawstring, the further the arrows go with more damage. One fully charged arrow deals 120 damage. You can't really cancel an arrow after pulling the drawstring back, so you gotta be careful not to get stuck holding an arrow if the enemy pushes you. Although it's very early to say, I don't think that the bow will rank very highly if you compare to any other weapons, but it can be a fun weapon to dash around with to collect clips or cool kills. I don't necessarily recommend using it with the cloaking device, since drawing the bow while invisible takes you out of invisibility, and you're actually unable to enter invisibility as long as it is drawn. As for the spear, this lets the heavy spam stabs at a faster rate than the sledgehammer. Secondary fire takes you to third person and lets you deal area of effect damage to any enemies within range. Plus, you get to look really cute twirling around like that. The spear can look cool, but honestly, in terms of viability, I'd probably put this in the bottom tier of heavy weapons, even below the sledgehammer. As for the dual katanas, that's the medium weapon. The concept is interesting. Spamming primary fire has you do 2 double swings, and the third primary fire has you do a slash with both your blades. It's kind of high skill, as you have to keep your aim on the enemy as you keep slashing. Your secondary fire brings up your swords, which reflects or deflects enemy shots back towards them, dealing some of their damage back against them, while some chip damage hurts you at the same time. You can also headshot with their reflected shots. As cool as this is, I think people are just gonna stop shooting you once you start deflecting, so odds are this might be less viable than the right shield, but time will tell. As for abilities, we're seeing some new ones as well. There's the winch claw and the thermal bore. The winch claw is Heavy's new specialization, and it is insanely oppressive. Also, we now have 4 specializations that didn't take out the mesh shield or the goo gun or the charge and slam. They just added another one in there, which sets the precedent that we can have a lot of specializations down the road. Anyways, after activating it, if you aim well enough, you can grab an enemy and pull them right up next to you, where you and your teammates easily can finish them off. Enemies hit by the hook will take 15 damage, and with the right combos, you can even one-shot them yourself. Enemies grabbed by the claw are basically stun-locked as the claw hits and until they're pulled in. It has a cooldown of 7 seconds. When you combine it with some of the hidden changes that I will mention later in the video, odds are it will be extremely oppressive in Season 3. The winch claw can also grab objects and even pull the cash out towards you, which we combined with a jump pad to send the cash out flying across the map. Another cool tech I saw with the winch is placing mines or grenades underneath you and then pulling the enemy into you for a free kill. The thermal bore is a new gadget for light. It's basically like a slightly larger, longer range breach charge. It comes with 2 shots at a time and basically lets you shoot a drill onto an object, a wall or roof, and have it blow a hole open after a little while. Shooting the thermal bore works over very long ranges, and it comes with a scope to help, but while it is a slow moving projectile, it doesn't seem to have any curve like an arrow or any type of range drop drop off, it will go straight to the target, it will just take a while to get there. It's perfect to combine with sniper to create good off angles and to catch enemies off guard. I noticed that since it shoots fire, you can also use the thermal bore to instantly evaporate any gas you want to get rid of. We also got more information about how ranked will work. We all know that terminal attack is the ranked game mode by now, but we have more information about how the ranks will work once the new season comes around. The rank sort of looks like it did back in season 1, and every 10,000 points you make will take you between tiers, and every 2,500 points you make will take you between ranks. As I understand it, once you are past Diamond at 50,000 points, you will be eligible for Ruby, which is the top 500 players in the world. The amount of points you earn or lose is based on the amount of rounds won or lost in a match, the team's rank score difference, your own score relative to the other players in the match, and then your individual performance in that game. As for ranked rewards, finishing bronze gets a badge, silver gets a badge in the charm, gold gets the above plus a gold M11, platinum gets the above plus platinum dual katanas, diamond gets the above plus a diamond Louis gun, and the others who finish in Ruby get all of the above plus the Ruby AKM. We also get to see more of World Tours, though there wasn't really anything new since the video that Oscar and the finals released yesterday. Other than another tease and the introduction of today's preview event, we have not heard anything new or seen anything new about Emeralds. Speaking of ranked, we got to see some of the new terminal attack on Kyoto as well. When you start the round, defenders get a little bit of time to set up before an invisible wall goes down, which lets the attackers push in. Destruction seems to stay between rounds, which I'm not sure whether that will stay or not, though if I understand it correctly, the destruction should reset once you switch between attacking and defending. But let's talk about the stuff that isn't as obvious and to many isn't known at all. That's right, let's talk about the upcoming balance as well as hidden changes for season 3. And obviously I might have missed anything, so if I did, let me know in the comments. First and foremost, what I immediately noticed once I got in game was that the movement feels a lot crisper. Not only are the animations smoother, but my characters seem to react to the movement inputs a lot faster, that being running, sliding, or even climbing or mantling. It's a lot less floaty than it is on a live client. But that's not the only movement changes that I've noticed. You can now start a slide after holding your defibrillator out, which stops you from being stuck in one place, which is very welcome. As for a less than welcome change, sliding into jump pads no longer affects your trajectory or how far you go horizontally. Running into a pad still takes you farther than walking, and dashing through a pad still gives you horizontal movement, but sliding doesn't do anything. I also noticed that Light now has a faster regen than the rest of the roster. After taking damage, Light will start healing up after 7 seconds compared to the 10 seconds of the rest of the builds on the roster. In this clip, we can also see the reworked glitch traps, where instead of popping immediately when an enemy steps too close, they will now passively glitch and disable any enemies that are within range, rendering them unable to use their abilities until they step out of the range or destroy the trap. I didn't get to test whether it despawns on its own or not. The glitch trap no longer explodes on impact with shields either. The smoke grenade now holds 3 charges, it activates faster and is way thicker than it used to be. It almost looks like the type of smoke you would see in Counter-Strike or Valorant, so it's definitely a change aimed towards terminal assault. The breach charge now carries 2 charges by default. It seems to have more destructive power than the previous version, but now only deals about 75 damage per charge against players. The SH1900 has received a huge stealth buff and basically had its old nerf reverted. It fires slightly slower, but now deals enough damage to one-shot a light, 2-pump a medium, and most importantly, 2-pump a heavy. This can be a pain to deal with a terminal attack, but we're gonna have to wait and see. The cloak seemed like it was harder to make out against the background or the map, but that might have been confirmation bias of me not paying attention. What 100% did change is that activating the cloak now is a lot cheaper than in the live patch, and it seemed to last longer overall. The heal gun now overheats faster on use, meaning you have less health in it before you need to wait and let it cool down. I also noticed a small visual change, which is that most throwable equipment icons also have changed. The CL40 grenade launcher projectiles felt a lot slower in the preview build, though I don't really have enough experience to say whether that's true or not. The data reshaper now has 2 charges instead of 1. The range and everything else seemed unchanged. The SA1216 also had a recent nerf reverted, or maybe it was just a buff. It now fires a lot faster than it does in season 2, so if you combine this with the winch, there's gonna be a lot of pain. The M60 also feels like it was a lot easier to use and shred with, but I didn't really have time to test it out fully. According to my teammates, the LH1 also received some change to its recoil, and while the recoil seemed the same to me, there's definitely less visual recoil, which makes it a lot easier to use. The revolver also feels different, and I can't place exactly what, but it seems to have less visual recoil, less drift, and maybe even less actual recoil as well. It also fires a lot faster and was a beam in the right hand. Emote cancelling with the sword is finally fixed after weeks and months of having to put up with it, but phantom strikes are still in the game, though odds are hopefully it will be removed once the update rolls around. Speaking of melee, the multi-hits that were introduced at the end of season 2 for for all melee weapons, and quick melee still appears to be in the game, so odds are multi-hits with melee is an intended change that managed to slip through for all melee weapons back in Season 2 when they were trying to fix emote cancelling. I also want to put it out there that throwing knives do seem a lot faster as well, but I cannot put my finger on exactly why. Maybe the throw starts even faster than in Season 2, though I sadly didn't get a chance to try it out fully, seeing as I got only about 20 minutes in the range before the servers were shut down. But this should give us all an idea of what to expect in the upcoming season. I'll also be doing the Season 3 patch notes video as soon as they drop on Thursday in the morning, so make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out.